Mentally, physically, spiritually fit world. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit world. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit world. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit world. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit. You wanna be healthy? You wanna be shine? I know there's a long road you gotta just climb. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit world. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit world. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit world. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit.
You know what, family? I can listen to that song all day long. Why don't y'all just keep going with me? Mentally, physically, spiritually fit world. Isn't that what we want? Come on, say hey, 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 hey. Yep. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit world. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit, right? I thank Rob House for that, giving us that jingle. All right, I don't know what the background noise is that I'm hearing, but it's not coming from me. Okay, so look, I don't know if I have a mic open there or what I'm hearing, like a TV or something. It's not coming from me. All right. Well, I'm going to roll right along and we're going to pray it on out of here, right? So please join me. Most gracious and heavenly Father, as always, we thank you for this platform. Thank you for the platform where we are able to share your word, pray together, and talk about health, fitness, things going on in the world that may deal with our well-being, and most of all, your health message. So I thank you, Father. And whatever that is that's trying to interfere today, get it up out of here. Giving it to you. So like Jesus went into the temples and turned the table over. We don't have to go there. Just go in Jesus' name. Thank you. Amen. All right. Our scripture for today is coming from Romans chapter 12, 10. Be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love, in honor, preferring one another. So it's talking about love. So I guess what I just said was not compliant, right? But now Jesus did get upset a couple of times. You know what I mean? And like I said, he walked in that temple and had to turn those tables over. He said, "How dare you? How dare you do this in my father's house?" All right. So just send a message here so I can see what's going on. Now, getting some background noise. Let's see where we have a mic open at. All right, and while we're dealing with the technology, I want to also share with you some things coming up. Okay. So, I'm like,
Ridiculous paper stored by Kevin Monroe. It was a pilot's airplane from the standpoint, the controls were very light, visibility was excellent, they could generally always outturn, outperform, and outclimb, outdive most of anything around it.
all right. So, excuse me there. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, but I think this message must be coming forward. Must be coming forward. Must be coming forward good. All right. So, we're having some baby showers coming up. So, if you wish to contribute, or if you have an area where women veterans or veteran families are, then please let me know. And you can partner to host a baby shower in your area, okay? But we will not be able to contribute to all the belongings that go to the gifts. However, we are willing to partner excuse me, help with collecting or gathering donations, mm-mm, and finding and helping to decorate within the location. All right. The next thing is we're also starting a support group for our cancer thrivers. All right. So, male, female, regardless of the stage you may be in or your family member. So, if I have some caregivers there listening, regardless of the stage and caregivers, you're welcome also. Okay, because this is going to be a thriving support group. So we're going to be sharing faith-based and holistic information. Okay, so please again contact me for further information. Alrighty, don't forget our grief share also. If you or a loved one has recently lost a loved one, we have a virtual grief share um, session if you don't quite want to meet in person. And if you like to meet in person, you can contact us about that as well. But the virtual one allows us to reach people wherever they may be, all different states, okay, and nations, okay, because we're using Zoom. So just remember, the virtual one can reach further. So if you have family that may be in another country, they can go on to griefshare.org and find so many places that are offering grief share. Just let them know when you lose a loved one, you're not alone. All right. So after everybody's gone, you're trying to figure out on the holidays and the birthdays and things like that how you're going to make it through. There is a support group out there for you, and you are not alone. Okay. All right. So moving on to our topic for today, we're going to talk about our military. And I want to take us back a little bit in time and talk about the the BRACs, where they did the base closures and the realignments back in 2005. How many of you know really how much an army, I don't, it doesn't even have to be an army, a military installation impacts the neighborhood right outside the gates? I mean, employment, you know what I mean? And a whole lot of other things. So I want to discuss, and this is open discussion. So if you'd like to chime in, all right, please do so. Put something in the chat, the comment, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, and just let me know what you have, or what you're thinking about as I share this information, because I want to know. I know that there's a thought process that goes into it. I know that there are committees and commissions that are put together when we do these. But a friend recently, thank you, Jerome Davis, recently shared with me a naming commission as well. But as I was reading it, I said, whoa, let's back up to the closures first. And I want you to help me look at the demographics, okay, as I share this information. All right, so back in 2005, the Defense Base Closure and Realignment Commission was proud to present the final report to our president, who was then uh, President Bush, right, for the closures. And and as it was required by law, the commission thoroughly and objectively reviewed the domestic installation closure and realignment recommendations proposed by the Secretary of Defense. And this report was completed back in May of 2005. The secretary made more recommendations with more complexity than all four previous space closures rounded and combined. And then they say that they assess these recommendations over the past 4 months. It was also um, the commission conducted 182 site visits within over the past 4 months, held 20 legislative and deliberative hearings, hosted 20 regional hearings, and received well over 200,000 written and electronic communications from the public. They sought and received expert analysis and commentary from a variety of governmental and non government sources to assist with their analysis. And they recognize that their final recommendation will have impact, right? Profound impact, as a matter of fact, on the communities and the people who bring to them life, as well as on the uniformed men and women embodying the armed forces. But they're confident that the recommendations contained in their final report will positively shape the military for decades to come. The warfighters securing our way of life will depend on the successful implementation of our recommendations to shape the infrastructure supporting their current and future missions. In addition, the commissioner's assessment of the secretary's recommendations, they addressed issues relevant to future rounds of base realignment and closures. Now, I can only say that in the report, they talk about the annual expenditures per base, and some of them, as I was looking through the report, and the report is over 700 pages long, all right? But as I skimmed through the report, it also, a lot of them said that there were no written concerns from the local community. And I have to say that even back in 2005, I was on a base. And I don't, now I know we don't have no business listening to or hearing to the community information, but I don't even recall hearing about this in the news. I mean, as far as them having the opportunity to write in or to say anything about it. And then I guess it's almost like voting, if you write, will you be heard, and will what you say make a difference? However, let me move on to where I really want to go here today. And that is, so we had the base closures, and I was trying to find the report where they talked about how much money the closures actually saved. But anyway, I think it said, oh, come on, where are you? Was it 12? Okay, now I can't find it. Nope. All right, now I can't find it. But anyway, they gave the dollar amount to how much the closures were going to save the Department of Defense. But I have to ask, how much did the base, did anybody do an assessment on how much money the base brought to the community? You know what I mean? Or vice versa, the community bringing to the base, because we all know most of the workers on the base come from the community, right? So when these bases closed, what happened to those families and their income? And did those families have to relocate? Because I know some of the bases did a realignment, or, as we call it, a downsize, but a lot of those jobs were no longer available. So I understand the Department of Defense saved money, but how much money did that state save? And could there have been some type of partnership or compromise? But I know I'm not looking at this the way that our defense looks at it, right? Because, as they said, They were looking at strategic alignments. So let me see. Of the 190 recommendations, the Commission approved 119 with no change and accepted another 45 with amendments. Over 86% of those proposed by DOD. The Commission rejected 13 DOD recommendations in the entirety and significantly modified another 13. The Commission forwarded a total of 182 closures or realignment recommendations, including 177 of the 190 initial recommendations submitted by the Secretary of Defense, and 5 closures or realignment recommendations from the 8 installations it considered on its own initiative. Of those recommended 33 major closures, the Commission approved 21, recommended realignments for 7, and rejected 5. In addition, the Commission recommended closure rather than realignment for, and they mentioned the base, for a total of 22 major closures. Of the DoD's 29 recommended major realignments, the Commission approved 25 close rather than realign. And they mentioned a naval air station here. Okay, but the costs and savings, here we are. That's what I was looking for. Over the next 20 years, the total savings of the Commission's recommendation are established at $35.6 billion rather than $47.8 billion for DOD's proposal. However, if DOD claimed cost avoidance attributable to military personnel actions are excluded, as both the Commission and the GAO believe necessary. Actual savings to the taxpayers are estimated at $15 billion over 20 years. The Commission estimated that implementation of its recommendations will result in annual savings of $4.2 billion compared to, $5.4 billion for DOD's proposal. Implementation will require one-time upfront cost of $2.1 billion compared to the $24.6 billion that would have been required by the DoD proposal. So, while the Secretary of Defense directed the 2005 BRAC on as an opportunity to promote jointness. That's how, remember, now we have all these joint bases, right? Very few of the hundreds of proposals increased jointness, and some actually decreased or removed joint and cross-service connections. Most of the DoD proposal consolidations and reorganizations were within the military departments, not across the service co-locations, and is not synonymous with integration and transformation, is not synonymous with jointness. While the Secretary's recommendations will not move the ball across the jointness goal line, Commission's decisions will help more than half down the field. Okay, so the idea as we closed these bases, savings to military personnel with the reassignment of 26,830 personnel positions that would not be eliminated, although military effectiveness would increase and service members are reassigned to higher priority missions. There's still, after the savings, after investing let me see. I apologize. DOD claimed its proposal would produce $47.8 billion in savings after in the investment of $24.6 billion in one-time implementation costs. However, if personnel savings are not realized, DOD's 2005 BRAC proposal would still incur a $24.6 billion in one-time costs while saving only $18.6 billion. Personnel relocation were 90% of the total savings. So again, I ask, oh my goodness, and I'm looking at my time. I come back and I ask you, out of the joint endeavors, out of the personnel relocations, they're saying they had to invest $24 billion to get a total savings of $18 billion, right? And 18 point something. All right. But again, did anybody do the analysis with the economy? Because you closed the bases, you moved the military personnel, but you also impact some communities. Matter of fact, a lot of communities. So I'm going to go to my new topic today. All right, because I want you to stay with me and see where I'm going here. Now, the Naming Commission. The purpose of the Naming Commission was created by an act of Congress in 2021 to rename military assets that have names that are associated with Confederate States of America. Go back and look at those facts, okay? The commission was created by Section 370 of the fiscal year 221 NDAA. The list of assets for the commission's review is, you can look that up on www.thenamingcommission.gov. All right. Statements from the Naming Commission. The Naming Commission sought to find names that would be inspirational to the soldiers and civilians who serve in our Army posts and to the communities who support them. Now, they start out saying that they are concerned about the community and the civilians who support them. Hence, the 2005. We realize, and this is for naming, all right? We realized we had more heroes than we did bases to name. And we were overwhelmed with the greatness of the American soldier, from those who gave their entire adult lives to the Army, to those who sacrificed themselves in valorous acts, who were reminded that courage has no boundaries by man made categories of race, color, gender, religion, or creed. For privates to generals, we found hundreds of military members who exemplified the core values of the Army. As we visited installations, we were touched by the contributions of the soldiers, families, and community groups who support them. They work faithfully, and tirelessly alongside our military members. This is the cohesion that you had going on these bases, right? Our goal was to inspire today's soldier and the local communities with names or values that have meaning. We wanted names and values that underpin the core responsibilities of the military to defend the Constitution of the United States. We wanted names and values that evoked confidence in all who serve. Confidence that by emulating those whose names are on the installations, we too can rise to every challenge, overcome every obstacle, achieve excellence, and, if necessary, sacrifice our lives for this country and her people. These names we are recommending embody the best of the United States Army and America. How did naming convention arrive at names? During the visits to the 9 Army installations in 2021, the Commission participated in listening sessions with military commanders and community leaders to gain feedback on their process preferences for new names and an understanding of local sensitivities. They went to the community. All right. I'm sorry if you hear my paper rattling here, just trying to adjust it so I don't have to keep looking down. All right. Over the course of these initial sessions and a public comment period by its website that closed December 1st, 2021, the Commission received more than 34,000 submissions related to naming activities, which included 3,670 unique names of individuals, locations, values, and more for consideration. I see you. I know y'all see me sweat. I'm getting hot here. Oh, is it personal? Excuse me. Pardon me, please. All right. And I don't have a fan with me. Okay. I'll get something. I'll find something to fan. Between January and April of 2022, the Naming Commission developed a short list of potential new names for the 9 installations before re engaging the same community groups through virtual listening sessions to gather more input on their naming preference. You see how they're going to the community on this one, families? And if you live in one of these communities, please let me know if you knew anything about this. All right? Greatly appreciated. Names on the shortlist included Charity Adams, John Azel, Alexander Augusta, Vernon Baker, Van Barfoot, Powhatan Beatty. Please excuse me if I'm messing up a name. How about I just not read them, okay? But it's about 20. Oh my goodness, no. It's like over 50 names. At the start of May 2022, the commission met for extensive deliberations that led to the final name selection using criteria that will be detailed in the final report to Congress. Okay, now I've got to go back to my computer. Let's talk about some facts here. This is the Naming Commission, right? When will the installation? No, I don't want to start there. Who is ultimately responsible for the final naming decisions? The Commission will make this recommendation to Congress in a final report as mandated in the 2021 NDAA. From there, the report will go to the Secretary of Defense, who has the authority to direct base renaming. How were the recommended names selected for the installations? The commission received, and I think I just read the numbers, right? And that was back in, so the sessions were held just this year, this past March and April. What criteria was used for the new names? The commission established criteria focused on ensuring that names considered for military installations appropriately reflected the courage, values, sacrifices, and demographics of the men and women in our armed forces, with consideration given to the local or regional significance of names and their potential to inspire and motivate service members. Full details will be included in the commissioner's report. You guys, look out for the commissioner's report. Now, when did I say it was supposed to be delivered? Was that May? At the start of May, the commission met. Nope. When is the commissioner's report scheduled to come out? So we'll know to look for it. What other things? What other kinds of things will be removed or renamed? But I'm looking for the date. When will the installation names actually be changed? Let me see here. Per Section 370 of the 2021 National Defense Authorization Act, the Secretary of Defense is expected to implement a plan submitted by the Commission no later than January 2024. 3 years after the NDAA became law. While we anticipate that renaming activities would take place around that time frame, the role of the commission is strictly to provide recommendations, not execute. All right. When I'm looking at the fact sheet here, trying to figure out when is the commission recommended, and no. I am not seeing that. Which military bases will be renamed? Let's see. Okay, well, I can give you a list of the ones that they looked at. Remember what they said. Let me go back to it as to how they picked these bases. We wanted names and values that underpin the core responsibilities of the military to defend the Constitution of the United States. We wanted names and values that evoke confidence in all who serve. But the names, the renaming assets, the act was created to rename military assets that have names of that were associated with Confederate States of America. Now listen, because I personally never paid any attention to it. But this is most of our Army bases. And I know somebody shared a joke with me not too long ago and said, yeah, everything Army starts with fort, right? Well, let's listen to this list of forts that were named after or associated with, named after Confederate uh, States of America. Fort Benning, Georgia, renamed as Fort Moore after Lieutenant General Howe and Julia Moore. Fort Bragg, North Carolina, renamed as Fort Liberty after the value of liberty. Fort Gordon, Georgia, renamed as Fort Eisenhower after General of the Army Dwight Eisenhower. Fort A.P. Hill, Virginia, renamed as Fort Walker after Dr. Mary Walker. Fort Hood, Texas, renamed as Fort Cavazos after General Richard Cavazos. Fort Lee, Virginia, renamed as Fort Craig Adams after Lieutenant General Arthur Craig and Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams. Fort Pickett, Virginia, renamed as Fort Barefoot after Tech Sergeant Van T. Barefoot. Fort Polk, Louisiana, renamed as Fort Johnson after Sergeant William Henry Johnson. Fort Rucker, Alabama, renamed as Fort Novosel after Chief Warrant Officer 4, Michael J. Novosel Jr. While there are yet other installations and names listed in the Confederacy, the Commission is empowered to make recommendations only for Department of Defense assets. This means the Commission cannot consider new names for the National Guard installations, for example, Camp Beauregard, Louisiana, and Camp Maxey, Texas, which fall under the operational control of other respected state governments. That's my history as an Army veteran. Fort, all those forts that I've been to. Now, how will I converse with my former colleagues about my history? They're changing the name. So now we're going to have to remember that, just like as well as with the bracks, with the closures of the posts. When you talk about history, they're removing a lot of our history, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm only trying to share with you to make you knowledgeable. Remember, on Live Today Health Talk, We share information to make you more knowledgeable. Now, for some of you, it won't impact at all, just like our health message. But for some of you, it will. For some of you, it will impact deeply. But I ask, for some of you, did you even know about this? Some of you may say, I don't even care. But for the Bracks, how did they come up with that? Were you aware of it? Like I said, in 2005, I think I was even on one of those installations and didn't know anything about it. Now, the renaming, let me see. As a matter of fact, was that installation even on the list? No, it wasn't. It wasn't on the list. But a lot of the others that I've trained on are. So, family, we got to pay attention because I know that I'm not always up with the news because we know they tell us what they want us to know, right? But we've got to stay abreast of what's going on. Okay, so let me go down. When will the installation names actually be changed? That is not what I wanted. What is the status of the U.S. Navy vessel under consideration? We thought this was our Army, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so let's see here. The determination of the USS Chancellorsville and USNS Murray, along with many other items, will be in the final report to Congress. So you guys, if y'all laughed and said, Army, there's your forts. It's not just Army, all right? After Confederate grave markers, are there Confederate grave markers subject to removal? Wait a minute. I wanted to go back up to this Fort Belvoir question right quick. I apologize. There was one about Fort Belvoir. Is the commission recommending a new name for Fort Belvoir? The commission reviewed Fort Belvoir, Virginia, originally named after U.S. Army Major General Andrew A. Humphrey in 1917 and renamed in 1935 after the colonial era plantation that once stood on its grounds, and determined it does not meet the criteria provided for the 2021 National Defense Authorization Act for a renaming recommendation. The commission will recommend the Department of Defense conduct its own naming review of the post. But how many was that news to anybody? Did you know that the colonial area, that Fort Belvoir, right here in Virginia, was a colonial era plantation? Okay, let me go back to, where was I? Navy. Come on, go Navy. Let's bring the Navy in the loop of things, right? Because you're all laughing. I thought it was all Army. Where was I? What other names of things will be removed? No, I was on the markers. But while we're here, whatever names of things, the commission has been directed to establish criteria to rename or remove names, symbols, displays, monuments, and paraphernalia that commemorate the Confederacy. In addition, any base, installation, street, building, facility, aircraft, ship, plane, weapon, equipment, and or other property owned or controlled by the Department of Defense is being reviewed. A list of current DoD assets under review is available. So if you all want to see it, I'm just on the naming convention and I'm on the fact sheet, okay? So because I'm sure that this list is probably, look, I'm opening it up, right? Quite extensive. However, we all thought, many of us thought this had went away. Well, it didn't. Okay. National Guard Bureau, Fort McClellan, Alabama, named range monument memorials. John Pelham was an artillery officer who served with the Confederate cavalry under J.E.B. Stuart. Category: markers, memorials, monuments, and statues. And then it goes on, same post. There's a sign there as well. Same. Next is a in Missouri. Let me see. Virginia. Let me scroll down to Virginia here. They're buildings, okay? Streets, buildings, installations, markers, signs. You guys, this is all Fort Pickett right now. Fort Pickett, Virginia. Fort Pickett. Trying to see if there's anything in Maryland. Alabama, Alabama, Alabama for days here on this list. Georgia. Georgia, 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 Georgia. Oh my goodness, for days too. All right, you guys. I figured this list was going to be a bit too long. Louisiana. Remember, signs, streets, markers, statues. The renaming convention goes on. So after the vessel, yeah, our Confederate grave markers. That's where I was going. Grave markers. No. Section 370 of the 2021 NDAA specifically excludes grave markers from removal. It's like, oh my goodness, they're going to change graves. Okay, so that's off the list. However, your monuments and your statues are still on. The commission will not recommend disturbing remains or modifying grave markers in any way. The commission was charged with further defining what constitutes a grave marker, and those considerations will be included in the final report. That's going to be a long report, ladies and gentlemen, but I just want you all to remember. Remember, back with, was it Black Lives Matter? When they were talking about pulling down statues, and then all of a sudden it went away. Shh. Nobody heard anything. Wait for the report because it's probably on the list. Like I said, you can go to the namingcommission.gov. All I did was pulled up the fact sheet. And when you read within the fact sheet, there is a list there for the names of those monuments, statues, markers, street signs, and so on and so forth. The renaming of the bases. Our history. I mean, yes, Confederate. I mean, hey, like I say with the politics, black, white, politics, blue, red. It's our history. And it's going to be gone. All right, ladies and gentlemen, regardless of how you feel about it, regardless of what it reminds you of, and I know I'm not talking for all, but it's still our history. It happened. It is our history. It happened. And even if we rename the street, that does not change the fact that certain things took place in our history. That's exactly what it is. It's a story about things that took place in the past. So we can remove the markers, the monuments, change the names of the streets, change the names of the bases. Lives were lost, blood was shed, and it's still part of our history. All right, family, I am out. Oh, wait a minute. Members, Army Post name recommended changes, old to new. I think I shared that already. Members of the Naming Commission, you guys can look that up. All right, I'm not going to blast their names. I don't want anybody to say that they were contact because I put their information out there, okay? All right, so I think I shared enough information with you to what? make you knowledgeable, because this not only impacts our with the base closures and the base renamings us financially, this impacts us emotionally. It impacts our well-being. And I pray that it does not add on anything. Listen to the health message. Go back to listen to some of our old recordings. If you are dealing with stress and sleepless nights, do not allow these things to come down on you, because they're not your fight, okay? Choose your battles wisely. Now, if you are against this, then look into this report and see if it's too late to do anything about it. I know that everything was up in a roar and people were talking about it, and then all of a sudden, shh, you didn't hear anything. But I just want you to know it's being written. It's being written without you being made knowledgeable. All right, I know for the third time I said that is it, family. That's it. Thank you for joining me on Live Today Health Talk. I pray that you'll come back every Sunday at 5 p.m. as we share information here to make you more knowledgeable. And yes, it does impact your health, your well-being. So mentally, physically, spiritually fit. These things impact us because these are things going on in the world that will impact the way in which we live. Family, we've got to keep our ears open so that we can hear, what is going on in the world. I'm going out with mentally, physically, spiritually fit. Join me as Rob House sings this song. I'm out. Thank you so much.
You wanna be healthy, you wanna be shine. I know there's a long road, you gotta just climb. Mentally, physically, spiritually fit world.